Welcome back. I'm Pratap here. Today is 9th November 2024. In this video, I'm going to generate different supply demand zone reports useful to the premium subscribers. You can also look into the monthly, weekly and daily reports also for the finding the stocks closed inside the zones, and those zones also filtered based on the EMA Confluence at monthly time frame, weekly time frame and daily time frame when I am finding the stocks near demand and supply zones. Of course, you will also find daily and 75 minutes high liquidity zones also. After that, we will generate bullish and bearish trade setups for different income trades. First, let me start with finding the stocks near demand and supply zones starting from half yearly time frame. Let's find the stocks near half-yearly demand zone. One stock is filtered. I'm giving you only few seconds time to watch the report. I request you pause the video, study the report, and then you can proceed further. If you don't know how to study the report, I request you complete our training lesson 21.1. Okay, next for half-yearly time frame, let's find the stocks near half-yearly supply zone. One stock is filtered. Next time frame is the quarterly. Let's find the stocks near quarterly demand zone. 5 stocks are filtered. Next for quarterly time frame, let's find the stocks near quarterly supply zone. 3 stocks are filtered. Next time frame is monthly. Let's find the stocks near monthly demand zone. 6 stocks are filtered. Next monthly time frame, let's find the stocks near monthly supply zone. 4 stocks are filtered. Next for monthly time frame, let's find the stocks where price closed inside the monthly demand zone. And we don't want pierced monthly demand zones. So let me check the monthly demand zones. Pierced count should be 0. That is minimum value 0, maximum value 0 indicates pierced count should be 0. That means zone is not pierced. So we got 21 stocks. In these 21 stocks, the monthly demand zones are not pierced. And currently prices are closed inside the monthly demand zone. You can also find prices closed some of the high liquidity demand zones. Okay, but out of these 21, how many monthly demand zones are having EMA Confluence? Let's verify. In the EMA Confluence, monthly time frame, monthly demand zone with monthly EMA Confluence. So total 12 stocks are filtered, but you need to ignore the stocks having sideways. Because sideways with EMA Confluence does not give any extra advantage. Because EMA Confluence is valid in the trending market, not in the ranging. Ranging means sideways market. Trending means it can be uptrend or downtrend. Uptrend you can plan bullish trade setup stocks. Downtrend you plan a counter trend trade setup related stocks. Trades. Okay, these are the 12 stocks. Few are having sideways. I think couple of stocks. Remaining 10 are having the trend is uptrend or downtrend. Okay, next let us look for monthly time frame. Prices closed inside the monthly supply zone, but we don't want pierced zones for the supply zones. So entries on supply zone in the pierced counter. At monthly time frame, minimum value is 0, maximum value 0. That means zone is not pierced. Which zone? Monthly supply zone. So we got only one stock. No need to check for EMA because the trend is sideways. Currently only one stock is closed inside the, I selected a wrong filter. Tested supply zones I selected. That is wrong. It should be price closed inside the supply zone. 4 stocks are filtered. In these 4 stocks, 2 stocks are having a uptrend. Let us check EMA Confluence. Any of those, EMA Confluence, monthly time frame, monthly supply zone with monthly EMA Confluence. We got only one stock, but it is sideways, so EMA Confluence does not give any advantage in this stock. Generally, EMA Confluence with monthly zones will be used as HTF zones for planning our trade setups, bullish trade setups or counter trend trade setups. Bullish trade setup, EMA Confluence with trend up, counter trade setup, EMA Confluence with downtrend. That is the way people will plan their trade setups. Okay, this is about monthly time frame. Next, let us look into the weekly time frame. So entry time frame is a weekly. Let us find the stocks near weekly demand zone. 10 stocks are filtered near to the weekly demand zone. Next, weekly time frame. Let us find the stocks near weekly supply zone. 4 stocks are filtered. Next, weekly time frame. Let us find the stocks where price closed inside the weekly demand zone. And the weekly zone should not be pierced. So, in the weekly demand zone should not be pierced because it is inside weekly demand zone. Those weekly demand zones should not be pierced. So, in the pierced count at a weekly time frame, I am setting minimum value 0, maximum value 0. That means zone is not pierced. So, we got a big list. So, first 15 stocks. So, I am scrolling the list down. So, total 29 stocks are filtered where price closed inside the weekly demand zone. And these weekly demand zones are not pierced. Okay, in these we need to look for high probability setup zones. So, that's why I want to select weekly demand zones are having weekly EMA Confluence. So, in the EMA Confluence, weekly time frame, weekly demand zones with weekly EMA Confluence. I enable the filter. Now the list is reduced to 16. Now from this list sideways related, you can ignore the stocks. 2 stocks are having sideways. And uptrend related stocks, you can plan bullish trade setup. Downtrend related stocks, any one is there, you can plan for counter trend trade related setups. If anybody is aware of that concept, at present we haven't discussed about it. This is the way you can do your trade plan setups, and you will use these weekly zones as HTF zones. After that you can find ITF and then you can find LTF. You already learned in our phase 2 training program, whatever the concepts you learned, that way you can plan your trades. Okay, this is about, you can also use this for ITF also, these zones. Either way you can use, either HTF or ITF. Next, let us look for price closed inside weekly supply zone. So, weekly time frame, where price closed inside weekly supply zone, and it should be, entry zone should be supply zone. This weekly supply zone should not be pierced. So, in the pierced count at weekly time frame, I am setting minimum value 0, maximum value 0. That means the weekly zone is, supply zone is not pierced. Now, let's filter. Here also we got a good number of stocks. These are the first 15 stocks. You need to look for the supply zones from this list. I am scrolling the list down. 19 stocks. So, totally 19 stocks. In all these stocks, prices are closed inside the supply zones. So, this is the inside the high liquidity supply zones. That way also you can look. Okay, in these stocks, let us identify how many of these stocks are having, supply zones are having. In these 19 stocks, how many supply zones are having a weekly EMA Confluence? Let's verify. So, in the EMA Confluence, weekly time frame, weekly supply zones with the weekly EMA Confluence. We got 11 stocks. In these 11 stocks, some stocks are having sideways trade setups. You can ignore. There are good number of stocks are there. So what I do, I will further filter. So in the trend, zone violation trend, weekly time frame, I am selecting only up or down trend related, no sideways. Now the list is 6. So you won't be having any sideways setups, either uptrend or downtrend. Downtrend you can use for counter trend trade setups. Uptrend you can use, these are the supply zones, right? So downtrend you can use it for bearish trade setups. Uptrend you can use it for counter trend trade setup related trade plans. So far you haven't learned counter trade setup related strategies that you will be learning in future. But those, if anybody is aware, experienced people, this list will be useful. But those who completed phase 1, phase 2 training, you can plan for, by using this stock, you can plan bearish trade setup related. Anyway, the bullish and bearish trade setups, already I am generating with the help of the software. After some of the stocks you will be, after some of the reports you will be seeing bullish and bearish trade setups. So in that algorithm it will select this stock. Okay, next we will also identify, because this is end of the week, we will also identify newly created zones and tested zones also. So weekly time frame, let us find the stocks that are tested during this week. So these demand zones, weekly demand zones are tested during this week. These stocks having, so total 17 stocks are filtered. These 17 stocks having weekly demand zones are tested. Okay, next, for weekly time frame, let us find the stocks having the supply zones, weekly supply zones tested during this week. So these 13 stocks having weekly supply zones are tested during this week. Even weekly, NIFTY supply zone is also tested. But demand and supply zones are overlapped. Okay. Next, let us identify newly created weekly demand and supply zones, because this is the end of the week, we can identify now. For weekly time frame, let us find the stocks having newly created weekly demand zones. These 8 stocks are having a newly created weekly demand zones. Okay, next, for weekly time frame, let us find the stocks having newly created weekly supply zone. These 13 stocks are having newly created weekly supply zones. Okay, this is about weekly time frame. Next time frame is a daily. Entry time frame daily, let us find the stocks near daily demand zone. 6 stocks are filtered. Let us identify any high liquidity demand zones from this list. RT Industries is having a high liquidity daily demand zone. Hindustan Copper is having a high liquidity daily demand zone. And Hindustan Petroleum is having high liquidity daily demand zone. So we identified 3 high liquidity daily demand zones from this list. Okay, next, for daily time frame, let us find the stocks price closed near daily supply zone. 6 stocks are filtered. Let's identify any high liquidity supply zones from this list. Nestle Industries is having a high liquidity daily supply zone. That's it. We have only one high liquidity daily supply zone from this list. Okay, next for daily time frame, let us find the stocks where price closed inside the daily demand zone. But we want to filter the peers demand zones. So I selected, so this daily demand zone should not be pierced. So that's why in the pierced count daily time frame I am setting minimum value 0, maximum value 0. That means pierced count should be 0. Zone should not be pierced. We want only such kind of daily demand zones. So this is the filtered list. We have good number of stocks. These are the first 16 stocks. I am scrolling the list down. So total 30 stocks are filtered. In these 30 stocks, currently prices are closed inside the daily demand zones. Some of these demand zones are high liquidity demand zones. Okay, in these 30 stocks, how many stocks are having daily EMA Confluence? So in the EMA Confluence, daily time frame, daily demand zone is having daily EMA Confluence filter I set. We got only 8 stocks. Out of these 8, 2 stocks are having sideways, you can ignore them. Because EMA Confluence does not add any extra advantage for the stocks having sideways trend. LTF trend is daily trend. Now these daily demand zones you can plan for as a HTF zone or ITF zone for your trade setups. Okay, this is about price closed inside the daily demand zone. Next, let us look for daily time frame. Let us find the stocks where price closed inside daily supply zone. But this supply zone should not be pierced. So entry zone is supply zone. The daily supply zone should not be pierced. So in the pierced count, daily time frame, I am setting minimum value 0, maximum value 0. That means daily supply zone should not be pierced. Because here we selected daily supply zone. So these are the first 15 stocks. I am scrolling the list down. So total 18 stocks are filtered. Currently in these 18 stocks, prices are closed inside the daily supply zone. Out of these 18 supply zones, how many of these daily supply zones are having daily EMA Confluence to look for high probability setup? So in the EMA Confluence at a daily time frame, daily supply zone with daily EMA Confluence. Daily supply zone with daily EMA Confluence filter I set. Let me filter the stocks. We got 12 stocks. Out of these 12, few stocks are sideways. You can ignore 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Big list is big. Let me add that filter also. In the trend zone violation trend, daily time frame, the trend should be either uptrend or downtrend. So total 7 stocks are there. Uptrend stocks you can plan for counter trend trade setups. Maybe DIT trade setups you can plan, counter trend setup. And these or WIT setups also you can use. If you are using daily as a HTF, DIT setup, or if you are using daily as a ITF, you can plan for WIT setups or counter trend trade setups. Downtrend can be bearish trade setups. Uptrend can be used for counter trend trade setups. Those people who are having knowledge about counter trend trade setups only can use 6 and 7. Others can ignore this. So this is about the daily time frame. Next time frame is 125 minutes. Let's find the stocks near 125 minutes demand zone. I'm scrolling the list down. So total 20 stocks are filtered near 125 minutes demand zone. Okay, next for 125 minutes time frame, let's find the stocks near 125 minutes supply zone. 5 stocks are filtered. Next time frame is 75 minutes. Let us find the stocks near 75 minutes demand zone. 10 stocks are filtered. Let us identify how many high liquidity 75 minutes demand zones from this list. BPCL is having a 75 minutes high liquidity demand zone. Dr. Reddy. And Zydus is pierced. You have to ignore this. So we identified only 2 stocks, BPCL and Dr. Reddy. The high liquidity 75 minutes demand zone. Next, for 75 minutes time frame, let us find the stocks near 75 minutes supply zone. We don't have any 75 minute supply zones from this list. Okay, so we have completed stocks near 75 minute daily and 75 minutes high liquidity zones. And the next time frame is 25 minutes. Let us find the stocks near 25 minutes demand zone. 11 stocks are filtered. Next, for 25 minutes time frame, let's find the stocks near 25 minutes supply zone. No stocks are available. Next time frame is 15 minutes. Let us find the stocks near 15 minutes demand zone. 5 stocks are filtered. Let's identify how many of these zones are having ITF confluence, demand zone confluence. That is 15 minutes and 75 minutes demand zone confluence. I enable the filter. 3 stocks are filtered. Next, for 15 minutes time frame, let us find the stocks near 15 minutes supply zone. 7 stocks are filtered. Let's identify how many of the supply zones are having. ITF confluence. (15 minute supply zone with 75 minute supply zone confluence). The filter is enabled. We got 3 stocks, but it should be supply zones, 15 minute supply zones. Okay, next time frame is 5 minutes. Let us find the stocks near 5 minutes demand zone. 9 stocks are filtered. Let's identify how many of these zones are having a ITF demand zone confluence, that is 5 minutes with 15 minutes demand zone confluence. Five stocks are filtered. Next, for 5 minutes time frame, let us find the stocks near seven stocks are filtered. Let's check how many of these supply zones are having ITF confluence. In the supply zone confluence, 5 minute supply zone with 15 minute supply zone confluence, we got 2 stocks. So this is about stocks near demand and supply zones. Next, we will identify NIFTY and BANKNIFTY supply demand zone chain. Nifty 50. Let's start with the monthly time frame, generating monthly supply demand zone chain for Nifty. So this is monthly supply demand zone chain for Nifty. Look into the zone column to find high liquidity zones. Look into the pierced column to check any of these zones are pierced. If the pierced count is 0, it is not pierced. If it is more than 0, it is a pierced zone. That way you have to understand. And always look into the LTF trend to find the trend of the current time frame you have selected. And also don't forget to pause the video when you are shifting from one report to another report, because I am giving you only few seconds time. Apply these rules for all the reports. Okay, next, changing the time frame to weekly and generating weekly supply demand zone chain for Nifty. Next is the daily supply demand zone chain. Next, 125 minute supply demand zone chain. Next, 75 minute supply demand zone chain. Next, 25 minute supply demand zone chain. Next, 15 minutes supply demand zone chain. Next, 5 minutes supply demand zone chain for Nifty. Until 26 you have supply zones and remaining demand zones. Let me scroll the list down. And the next page. Okay, this is about Nifty supply demand zone chain. Next, I will generate a BANKNIFTY supply demand zone chain. That is nothing but Nifty Bank. Let me start with monthly time frame. Generating monthly supply demand zone chain. Next, weekly supply demand zone chain. Next, daily supply demand zone chain. Next, 125 minute supply demand zone chain. Next, 75 minute supply demand zone chain. Next, 25 minute supply demand zone chain. Next, 15 minute supply demand zone chain. And the last report, last time frame, 5 minutes supply demand zone chain for BANKNIFTY. So this is about BANKNIFTY supply demand zone chain. And the next set of reports are about bullish and bearish trade setups for monthly, weekly, daily income trades. For monthly income trade bullish trade setup, entry time frame is daily. Entry zone demand zone. In bullish or bearish trade setup at a daily time frame, that is entry time frame, I am selecting the value bullish. And this daily demand zone should not be pierced. So in the pierced count, daily time frame, because entry time frame is daily, the daily demand zone should not be pierced. So minimum value 0, maximum value 0 means zone is not pierced. Zone achievement violated opposing zone. Minimum odd enhancer score 12. All the 3 filters are applied to daily demand zone. So 13 stocks are currently supporting bullish trade setup for a monthly income trade, and these demand zones are not pierced, and all these demand zones odd enhancer score is minimum 12 value, and also all these demand zones are having zone achievement as a violated opposing zone. In these 13, there could be some high probability trade setup supported zones are available. Let us identify based on zone confluence. First, let us look into LTF and ITF demand zone confluence. LTF is lower time frame is daily, ITF is weekly. So daily demand zone confluence with weekly demand zone confluence, I enable the filter. With this filter, we got 8 stocks. In all these 8 stocks, the daily demand zone, the entry zone, is part of the weekly zone, that is overlapped with weekly zone. That is what zone confluence. Because the daily zone is part of the weekly zone, and also it is bullish trade setup. Weekly trend is up in all the stocks. If these weekly demand zones are having weekly EMA confluence, they are even more high probability setup supported stocks. Already these 8 are high probability. If any of these 8 stocks are having weekly EMA confluence, because the daily zone is part of the weekly zone. So in the EMA confluence at weekly time frame. Why weekly? Because the daily zone is part of the weekly zone. That's why weekly zone is having weekly EMA confluence. Weekly demand zone with weekly EMA confluence. If this is available, let us find how many stocks. 5 stocks. In these 5 stocks, all the weekly zones are having weekly EMA confluence, and daily zone is part of the weekly zone. That is the reason why these 5 stocks are even more high probability setup supported stocks. Okay, this is about bullish trade setup for daily income trade. Bullish trade setup for monthly income trade, entry time frame daily demand zone, and daily zones are having weekly zone confluence, and also the weekly zones are having weekly EMA confluence. So this is a more high probability setup stocks. Next, let us look for LTF, ITF, HTF demand zone confluence setup. So removing this EMA filter. So LTF, ITF, HTF, that is a daily, weekly and monthly zone confluence we need to set. 3 filters. First filter is already enabled, daily demand zone with weekly demand zone confluence. Second filter, daily demand zone with monthly demand zone confluence. Third filter, weekly demand zone with monthly demand zone confluence. With all the 3, LTF, ITF and HTF confluence, we got 2 stocks. In these 2 stocks, daily zone, our entry time frame, all these are all daily demand zones, both these zones. These daily demand zones are part of the weekly demand zone. Again, both together part of the monthly demand zone. And now monthly trend is up for both the stocks. If any of these monthly zone is having monthly EMA confluence, they are even more high probability setup. Let's verify. In the EMA confluence, monthly time frame, because the daily and weekly together part of the monthly zone. So monthly demand zone with monthly EMA confluence. Both the stocks are having monthly EMA confluence. So these 2 are even more high probability setup supported stocks. So this is about bullish trade setup for monthly income trade, entry time frame, daily demand zones. Next, let us look for bearish trade setup for monthly income trade, that is entry time frame daily, entry zone, supply zone. In bullish or bearish trade setup at entry time frame daily, I am selecting bearish. And these daily supply zones should not be pierced. So in the pierced count at a daily time frame, I am setting minimum value 0, maximum value 0. That means zone is not pierced. Which zone? Daily supply zone is not pierced. And zone achievement violated opposing zone, minimum odd enhancer score 12. All the three filters are applied to daily supply zone. Let's verify how many stocks we get. We got 3 stocks. In all these 3 stocks, they are supporting bearish trade setup for monthly income trade. That is entry time frame and zone are daily supply zones. All these daily supply zones currently supporting bearish trade setup for monthly income trade. These are all the daily supply zones, entry zones. In these 3, there could be high probability supported stocks are available. Let us filter based on the LTF and ITF supply zone confluence. So in the supply zone confluence, daily supply zone with weekly supply zone confluence. Daily is LTF, weekly is ITF. LTF, ITF, supply zone confluence. That is daily, weekly. 2 stocks are filtered out of 3. In both these stocks, these daily supply zones are part of the weekly supply zones. And weekly trend is down. If any of these weekly supply zones are having weekly EMA confluence, they are even more high probability trade setup. Let's verify. In the EMA confluence, weekly time frame, weekly supply zone with weekly EMA confluence, we got 1 stock. This is even more high probability setup stock based on LTF and ITF supply zone confluence. Next, let us look for HTF, LTF, ITF, HTF confluence. How to remove this EMA filter? I removed it. In the supply zone confluence, 3 filters we have to set. First filter is already enabled, daily with weekly supply zone confluence. Next, daily supply zone with monthly supply zone confluence. Weekly supply zone with monthly supply zone confluence. With all the 3 filters, we can get LTF, ITF, HTF confluence. We did not get any stocks supporting LTF, ITF, HTF confluence. Okay. Next, let us look for bullish trade setup for weekly income trade. In weekly income trade, entry time frame is 75 minutes. Bullish trade setup, entry zone is demand zone. In bullish or bearish trade setup, our entry time frame 75 minutes. I am selecting bullish. And this 75 minutes demand zone should not be pierced. So in the pierced count, at 75 minutes time frame, minimum value should be 0, maximum value should be 0. That means zone is not pierced. Zone achievement violated opposing zone, minimum odd enhancer score 12. All 3 filters are applied to 75 minutes demand zone. We got 10 stocks. So these 10 stocks are supporting bullish trade setup for weekly income trade. That is entry time frame and zone 75 minutes demand zones. All these 75 minutes demand zones for all these 10 stocks, these are the entry zones for bullish trade setup for weekly income trade. But out of these 10, there could be high probability supported stocks might be available. Let's find them based on LTF and ITF demand zone confluence. LTF is 75, ITF is daily. That is 75 minutes demand zone with daily demand zone confluence filter we enabled. With this filter, out of those 10 stocks, we got 9 stocks. In all these 9 stocks, the 75 minutes entry zones are part of the daily demand zones. They are overlapped. Because 75 minutes entry zone is part of daily demand zone, if the daily demand zone is having a daily EMA confluence, they are even more high probability setup. And moreover, daily means ITF. ITF trend is up in all the stocks. So EMA confluence at a daily time frame, the daily demand zone with daily EMA confluence. Because the 75 minutes entry zone is part of the daily demand zone. So let's verify. We got 4 stocks. These 4 are even more high probability setup. Out of those 9 stocks, these 4 are filtered. Because they have daily EMA confluence. And 75 minute zone is part of the daily zone. Okay, next let us look for LTF, ITF, HTF demand zone confluence. I have to remove this EMA filter. LTF, ITF, HTF. That is 75 minutes daily and weekly demand zone confluence. So 3 filters we should set. First filter is enabled. That is 75 minutes demand zone with daily demand zone. Next filter 75 minutes demand zone with weekly demand zone confluence. Next daily demand zone with weekly demand zone confluence. With all the 3 filters, LTF, ITF, HTF demand zone confluence, we got 5 stocks. In all these 5 stocks, 75 minutes demand zone is part of the daily demand zone. Both together again part of the weekly demand zone. And the third and fourth stocks are having uptrend. In these stocks, any weekly EMA confluence is there for these 2 stocks. They are even more high probability setup. Let's verify. In the EMA confluence, weekly time frame, because the daily 75 minute zone and the daily zone together part of the weekly zone. That's why weekly demand zone with weekly EMA confluence. We enable the filter. We got 3. Ignore the first one because that HTF trend is sideways. That is weekly trend is sideways. But here a weekly trend is up in second and third stocks. So their second and third are even more high probability setup supported stocks. Okay, next let us look for bearish trade setup for weekly income trade. That is entry time frame is 75 minutes. Entry zone is supply zone. In bullish or bearish trade setup at 75 minutes time frame, I am selecting bearish. The 75 minute supply zone should not be pierced. So 75 minutes time frame, minimum value is 0. Maximum value is 0. Zone achievement violated opposing zone. Minimum odd enhancer score is 12. All the 3 filters are applied to 75 minute supply zone. We got 6 stocks. Currently these 6 stocks are supporting bearish trade setup for weekly income trade. That is entry time frame, entry zone are 75 minute supply zones. That means in all these 6 stocks, these 75 minute supply zones are currently supporting bearish trade setup for weekly income trade, entry time frame 75 minutes. And out of these 6 75 minute supply zones, there could be high probability setup stocks might be available. Let's find them. The first filter is based on LTF and ITF supply zone confluence. That is 75 minutes with daily supply zone confluence. So I am enabling the filter 75 minutes supply zone with daily supply zone confluence. With this filter, out of the 6 stocks, we got 5 stocks. In all these 5 stocks, the 75 minute supply zone is a part of the daily supply zone. Because 75 is part of the daily and the daily ITF trend is a downtrend. If any of these 5 daily supply zones are having daily EMA confluence, they are even more high probability setup. Because 75 minutes entry zone is part of the daily zone. So in the EMA confluence at a daily time frame, why daily? Because 75 minute zone is part of the daily zone. So that's why daily supply zones are having daily EMA confluence. They are even more high probability setup supported stocks. So let's find them. We got 2 stocks. These 2 are even more high probability setup 75 minute supply zones. Because the 75 minute supply zones are part of the daily supply zone and these daily supply zones are having daily EMA confluence. Okay, next let us look for LTF, ITF, HTF supply zone confluence. Removing this EMA filter, LTF, ITF, HTF, that is 75 minutes daily and weekly supply zone confluence. We need to set 3 filters. First filter is already enabled, that is 75 with daily. Next 75 minute supply zone with weekly supply zone confluence. Daily supply zone with weekly supply zone confluence. With all the 3 filters, we get LTF, ITF, HTF supply zone confluence stocks. Two stocks are filtered. In these two stocks, HTF trend is a downtrend. If this PEL is having a weekly EMA Confluence, it is even more high probability setup. Already these two stocks, 75 minutes, these are all the 75-minute supply zones. These 75-minute supply zones are part of the daily supply zone. Both together again part of the weekly supply zone. Let's verify. Why only second one? Because first one trend is sideways. Sideways EMA Confluence does not give any extra advantage. So in the EMA Confluence, weekly time frame, because 75-minute zone and daily zone together are part of the weekly supply zones. So weekly supply zone with weekly EMA Confluence, let's find. We got Nifty PSU and it is sideways, no additional advantage. Okay, next let us look for a bullish trade setup for daily income trade. For daily income trade, entry time frame is 15 minutes. Entry bullish trade setup entry zone is demand zone. In bullish or bearish trade setup parameter, at 15 minutes entry zone, I am selecting bullish. These 15 minutes demand zones should not be pierced. So in the pierced count, at 15 minutes time frame, I am setting minimum value 0, maximum value 0. That means zone is not pierced. Zone achievement violated opposing zone. Minimum odd enhancer score 12, and all the three filters are applied to 15 minutes demand zone. So let's verify. We got 7 stocks. Currently, these 7 stocks are supporting bullish trade setup for daily income trade. The entry time frame is 15 minutes demand zones. And all these 7 stocks, the 15 minutes demand zones, all these are all 15 minutes demand zones. These 15 minutes demand zones are currently supporting bullish trade setup for daily income trade. But out of these 7 15 minutes demand zones, there could be high probability supported stocks might be available. Let us identify them based on zone confluence, LTF and ITF demand zone confluence. LTF is 15 minutes and ITF is 75 minutes. So we should look for 15 minutes demand zone with 75 minutes demand zone confluence. With this filter, out of the 7 stocks, we got 6 stocks. In all these 6 stocks, the 15 minutes demand zones are part of the 75 minutes demand zones. And these 75 minutes, that is ITF, trend is uptrend. If they are having if these 6 75 minutes demand zones, if any of these stocks or demand zones are having a daily EMA Confluence, they are even more high probability setup. Let's verify. In the EMA Confluence, 75 minutes, because 15 minutes entry zone is part of the 75 minutes demand zone. That's why if 75 minutes demand zone is having daily EMA Confluence, 2 stocks are filtered. These 2 are even more high probability supported stocks. Okay, next let us look for LTF, ITF, HTF demand zone confluence. I am removing the EMA filter. LTF, ITF, HTF, that is 15 minutes, 75 minutes and daily demand zone confluence. Already first filter 15 minutes with 75 minutes confluence we enabled. Next 15 minutes demand zone with daily demand zone confluence. Next 75 minutes demand zone with daily demand zone confluence. With all the 3 LTF, ITF, HTF demand zone confluence, we got 4 stocks. In these 4 stocks, 15 minutes demand zone, all these 15 minutes demand zones are part of the 75 minutes demand zone, both together again part of the daily demand zone. Except the third, remaining 3 stocks are having uptrend, HTF trend. HTF means daily. And the 15 and 75 minutes zones together are part of the daily zone. And in these 3 stocks, except the third one, in these 3 stocks, if they are having daily EMA confluence, they are even more high probability setup. Let's verify. In the EMA confluence at a daily time frame, daily demand zone with daily EMA Confluence. Filter is enabled. We got two stocks. You can ignore the second one because the daily trend is sideways. But this is uptrend. First one, daily trend. So that way the first stock is even more high probability setup. Second is also high probability because this is having LTF and ITF. LTF trend is up. Earlier this stock is filtered. Okay, this is about a bullish trade setup for daily income trade. Next, bearish trade setup for daily income trade. Entry time frame is 15 minutes. Entry zone is supply zone. In bullish or bearish trade setup, at 15 minutes entry time frame, I am selecting bearish. And this 15 minute supply zone should not be pierced. So in the pierced count, at 15 minutes time frame, I am setting minimum value 0, maximum value 0. That means 15 minute supply zone should not be pierced. Zone achievement violated opposing zone. Minimum order enhancer score 12. With all the three filters, they are applied to 15 minute supply zone. Now let's filter the stocks. We got 9 stocks. All these 9 stocks are having bearish trade setup for daily income trade. Entry zones are 15 minute supply zones. So all these 9 supply zones are 15 minute supply zones. There you need to go for short trades. But out of these 9, there could be high probability setup supported stocks might be available. We need to find them. So first filter is based on LTF and ITF supply zone confluence. That is a 15 minute supply zone with 75 minute supply zone confluence. Enable the filter. With this filter, LTF, ITF supply zone confluence, we got 8 stocks out of 9. In all these 8 stocks, the 15 minutes supply zones, all these entry zones, these 15 minute supply zones are part of the 75 minute supply zone. And 75 minutes trend is down. If any of these 75 minute supply zones are having daily EMA confluence, they are even more high probability setup supported stocks. Let's verify. In the EMA confluence, 75 minutes time frame, because 15 minute supply zone, entry zone is part of the 75 minute supply zone. And this 75 minute supply zone is having daily EMA confluence. They are even more high probability. So I set the filter. We got 2 stocks. So these 2 supply zones are even more high probability setup supported stocks. So that is the reason why M&M Finance already tested 5 times. Okay. Next, let us look for LTF, ITF and HTF supply zone confluence. I am removing EMA filter. Now in the LTF, ITF, HTF supply zone confluence, we need to set 3 filters. This is already first filter is enabled. 15 minute supply zone with 75 minute supply zone confluence. Next 15 minute supply zone with daily supply zone confluence. And 75 minute supply zone with daily supply zone confluence with all the 3 filters. LTF, ITF, HTF supply zone confluence. We got 4 stocks. In these 4 supply zones, these 15 minute supply zones are part of the 75 minute supply zone. Both together again part of the daily supply zone. And the daily trend is down except the second one. Remaining 3 stocks, daily trend is down except the second one. If any of these 3 stocks are having a daily EMA confluence, they are even more high probability setup. Let's verify. In the EMA confluence at a daily time frame. Why daily? Because our entry time frame 15 minute supply zone is part of 75 minute supply zone. Both together again part of the daily supply zone. That's why daily supply zone with daily EMA confluence we are verifying. So enable the filter. Daily supply zone with daily EMA confluence. Let's filter. We got 3 stocks. In all the 3 stocks, HTF trend is a downtrend. So these 3 stocks are high probability setup supported supply zones. So this is about bearish trade setup for daily income trade. Currently I am not generating hourly income trade reports because now the market volatility is very high. One day it is moving up, one day it is moving down. In such kind of situation, DIT trades will be violated. Their success rate is very, very low. So that's why I don't want to get you people get into the trap because of the market condition. Once market is stabilized, then I will generate even HIT trades also. Currently, you can focus on these three setups, trade setups. Okay, final report is stop buffers based on daily ATR. I am generating them. First 17 in this list are indices, remaining all are equity stocks. And the filter is F&O listed companies. Okay, I am scrolling the list down. Whichever the stock you want to refer, there you please pause the video. I am scrolling down. So this is the end of the report. Hope this information will be useful to you. Let's all meet again in our next video. Thank you.